Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is, wherever you are, and welcome to the Pollution Prevention Good Housekeeping training for municipal operations. This year we're doing things a little differently. We are recording this in advance and distributing it out to our co-permittees to watch as they can, and we are also distributing a quiz that will be either a Google Sheet or hard copy that should be returned to us by December 18th. So a little bit about me. My name is Kyle Seitz. I am the urban district technician, here at Licking County Soil and Water, and I will be responsible for administering this permit in addition to the rest of the urban staff. And I enjoy going out into the streams and rivers and ponds in our area. I like fishing. I like to just see what's living in these waters around us. I hope you do too, because part of the purpose of these trainings is to make our waters pollutant free. All right. Oops, skipped ahead one. All right. As you probably know, the MS4 stands for Municipal Separate Storm Sewer System, and that is a system of stormwater conveyances owned or operated by the municipality. It requires a permit to operate this system, and one of the permit requirements is this training. Down there at the bottom is MCM 6, which is the Minimum Control Measure 6, Pollution Prevention and Good Housekeeping for Municipal Operations. It requires you to develop and implement an operation and maintenance program, including training, which is this requirement here, with the goal to prevent and reduce runoff, pollutant runoff from municipal operations. All right, the goal of this training, or the goal of this is to train employees to help eliminate and reduce stormwater pollution. Training must be administered annually. These best management practices on the screen will be covered during the course of this presentation by both the video, and after the video is over, we'll go over each one individually. This is the Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan for Licking County and others. It contains possible sources of storm sewer pollution and strategies and methods, aka best management practices, that will be implemented to eliminate that potential. Any facility within the MS4 urbanized area, as defined by the Census Bureau, will require this. And within that SWIP will be a map such as this that will give you elevations and existing structures for storm sewer systems. Basically, it gives you everything you need to know to maintain and inspect your stormwater infrastructure. Here is an example summary of common chemicals you might find in the shop. Brine, road salt, fuels, oils, hydraulic fluids. Even things like dumpsters and scrap can be sources of pollution. So all these must be handled according to how they're proposed in the SWIP. This is just the formalized version within the SWIP, the written document. Let's see. Stormwater control measures are included in the SWIP. It includes spill prevention, control, and cleanup. So make sure you know where your spill response kit is and what's in it and how to use the equipment within it. And make sure that you report any spills in your report forms. It also requires the elimination of illicit and non-stormwater discharges. And it also calls for training such as this. All right, and reporting, record keeping, annual site inspection should happen every quarter, with one of them being a wet weather active rain event inspection where a grab sample should be taken. So make sure that you inspect your facility, make sure your stormwater infrastructure is working, and you don't have any discharges that are not pure rainwater. All right, we're gonna watch the video now. Give me a second while I set it up.
No one has to be reminded of how important pure, clean rainwater is to this planet, replenishing, renewing, sustaining all life. This natural cycle works beautifully, but it runs into a little trouble when we start talking about rainfall on urbanized areas. When rain falls on an exposed container, a maintenance shop, a factory, a shopping mall, or a city supply yard, it gets diverted from its normal cycle. When it runs across an impervious surface, into a storm drain or drainage ditch, it picks up any contaminants in its path and carries them to the nearest stream, river, lake, wetland, or other waterway. There are lots of things that can contaminate stormwater runoff from rainfall or snowmelt. Oils, fuels, pesticides, fertilizers, detergents, solvents, trash, salt, dirt, antifreeze, pet wastes, and construction wastes. And when these contaminants get into our waterways, they can kill aquatic life. They can impact drinking water and cause beach closings. Storm drainage is different from the sanitary sewer system. Indoor plumbing and floor drains take wastewater to a treatment plant for processing and filtering to remove the contaminants before release into the environment. On the other hand, storm drainage receives absolutely no treatment whatsoever before entering the environment. Any wastes or contaminants mixed into stormwater runoff end up right in our streams and rivers. This is called stormwater pollution, and municipalities all over the country are responsible and legally liable for anything that enters their storm drainage systems. As a municipal employee or contractor, you have a special responsibility to keep a storm watch to help prevent stormwater pollution. Whether you work at a municipal facility or work around town on the streets, parks, storm drainage systems, or in emergency services, you play a critical role in protecting the quality of stormwater runoff. The Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, has studied stormwater pollution closely and has identified a series of best management practices, or BMPs, demonstrated to minimize stormwater pollution. Many municipal facilities are required to have a plan that identifies potential sources of stormwater pollution and details the BMPs that will be implemented to protect the quality of stormwater runoff. There are 7 types of outdoor activities that can potentially pollute stormwater runoff. They range from vehicle washing to the application of pesticides and fertilizers. It's up to all municipal employees to understand and apply the appropriate BMPs when engaging in any of these types of work activities. Washing or steam cleaning a truck, a lawnmower, a trailer, a fire engine, a sanitation truck, or any other equipment outdoors where the wastewater is not contained or sent to the sanitary sewer is a direct threat to the quality of stormwater runoff and may be a violation of local, state, and federal laws. Whatever was in the wash water, like detergents, and whatever was on the equipment, like dirt, oil, or grease, is now on the pavement or on the ground. These contaminants will be picked up by the next storm. Best management practices require that vehicles or equipment only get washed in locations where the wastewater does not drain to the storm drainage system. Washing indoors over a sanitary floor drain is the best BMP. If washing must be done outdoors, do it in a designated wash area, like on this concrete pad. The designated area must be impervious and adequately bermed or sloped to capture the wastewater and keep it out of the storm drainage system. A roof or shelter is also useful to keep clean rainwater out of the wash area. Municipal maintenance work involves any number of materials that can pollute stormwater. Fuels, lubricants, paints, hydraulic fluid, solvents, antifreeze, battery acid, and more. When doing maintenance work, do it where these materials won't contact stormwater, preferably indoors. Do not work on vehicles outdoors except for emergency repairs. If a leaking vehicle arrives in the yard, don't leave it there. Either drain it immediately or move it indoors. And clean up any leaks and dispose of the wastes properly. If you can't get to it right away or for emergency repairs in the field, place a drip pan underneath the leak until the vehicle can be brought indoors. Drip pans are a simple but very effective BMP. And remember to empty that drip pan into the correct container, the recycled drum or the hazardous waste container as appropriate. Spills pose the biggest threat to stormwater quality. Both liquids and granular materials can be picked up by a storm if left exposed. Good housekeeping is the BMP that prevents most spills and leaks. Good housekeeping means keeping your outdoor work areas neat and tidy, spreading a drop cloth or tarp underneath any work that might produce overspray or debris, not leaving containers open and exposed unless you need them for the job at hand, putting your supplies and tools away when you're done with them, indoors if possible, and properly disposing of the wastes from the job. Sweep up after outdoor projects. Sweep up the scraps and debris left over from the work at least after every shift. And dispose of the wastes properly. Never hose or wash down an outdoor work area. That just pushes the mess straight into the storm system. Fueling of vehicles or equipment is one situation where spills can be a recurring problem. Accidents and overfilling, from topping off the tank, put fuels right on the pavement and exposed to stormwater. Many fueling incidents can be avoided altogether by simple measures like positioning the vehicle so the nozzle is securely inside the filler pipe. And always stay with your vehicle or equipment for the entire fueling operation. Don't walk away while fueling. Stay there to make sure everything goes into the tank and not onto the pavement. And don't try to top off that tank after the pump shuts off. In spite of your best efforts at good housekeeping, spills can still occur. If this happens, your job is to minimize the spill's impact on stormwater. Your municipality or facility has a plan to protect stormwater quality. It may be called a Stormwater Pollution Prevention Plan or a Runoff Control Plan. Whatever it's called, it will identify the equipment and procedures for spill response. The plan will also identify the location or locations of the spill lockers and storm drain inlets at your facility. Read and understand your plan so you're prepared to respond quickly and effectively. If a spill occurs, clean it up right away if you can do so safely. Spills or leaks of non-hazardous materials like salt, fertilizers, lubricants, or hydraulic oils can usually be cleaned up easily, especially if you've taken care to park on a paved surface or spread a drop cloth under any operation that might result in a spill or produce waste or debris. But do that cleanup promptly. The longer you wait, the more time for the material to be spread by wind, rain, and vehicle traffic. If a leak occurs, stop the leak and contain the spill. Use dry cleanup methods like sweeping up granular materials, or for liquids, spreading absorbents, and then sweeping. Never hose down a spill. If the spill is hazardous or beyond the capability of the cleanup equipment available to you, or if you don't know what the spilled material is, you will have to call for help. Your municipality or facility has probably designated a spill hotline. If so, it will be posted by the telephones in the areas where hazardous spills might occur or be reported. Make sure you know this number or where to find it. Just like cars and trucks, stormwater runoff uses our streets and roadways to get where it's going. But this street runoff picks up leaves, trash, dirt, cigarette butts, and anything else it encounters along the way. Street sweeping is the BMP used to effectively remove these contaminants from runoff's pathway and keep them out of the storm drain system. But it's important to finish the job that sweeping starts. Never dump this debris into a drainage ditch or alongside a roadway. Take it all to a sanitary landfill or material storage area where it can't be washed away. The same goes for the debris that's cleaned out of stormwater catch basins. Make sure that debris is properly disposed of. And if the debris has to be dewatered prior to disposal, that wastewater contains dissolved materials and fine solids. This wastewater should go to the sanitary sewer, not back into the storm system. Also, take care during street maintenance work to keep wastes from getting into storm drains. Don't do saw cutting before or during a rain event. Protect storm drain inlets when working nearby. Clean up any wastes or scrap left over from street maintenance or repair, and properly dispose of them. Many materials or wastes that are accumulated or stored outdoors can contaminate stormwater. Unless the container is meant for outdoor service, portable containers like pails and bags should never be stored outdoors. Store them indoors or put them under a roof overhang or in a shelter. If they must be stored outdoors permanently, protect them from exposure by using secondary containment to capture leaks and to protect against run-on from upslope. If materials must be stored outdoors for short periods, a waterproof tarp can be used to protect them temporarily. But this temporary BMP requires periodic monitoring. Check that tarp regularly for loosening or tearing by the wind, and re-secure it as needed. Dumpsters and trash receptacles are a particular threat to stormwater quality. If rainfall contacts trash, it can easily wash off inks, oils, food scraps, and lightweight floatable materials. Trash containers should be kept covered at all times, unless adding or emptying. Containers with lids are best, but a well-secured waterproof tarp or cover will also do. And make sure to lower the lid or re-secure the cover each time you lift it. Since dumpsters are rarely leak-tight, never put any liquids or liquid-containing wastes into a dumpster. Liquids will leak out and contaminate stormwater. Bulk storage tanks are often protected by secondary containment devices like the concrete berm under and around these fuel tanks. This BMP protects stormwater from leaks and ruptures. But secondary containments pose another problem. Most secondary containment structures have valves or ejectors to allow draining of accumulated rainwater. These drain devices must be kept closed at all times unless rainwater is actually being drained. And when draining, it must be confirmed beforehand that the accumulated rainwater is clean and uncontaminated. City parks, athletic fields, and golf courses are beautiful places for citizens to relax and enjoy the outdoors. But even these beautiful places can pose a threat to stormwater. Pesticides and fertilizers used on parks and golf courses can contaminate runoff, especially if applied in excess or incorrectly. Always use any agricultural chemicals strictly according to the manufacturer's directions. Test soils before applying fertilizer so that you do not over-apply them. Do not apply any agricultural chemical during or immediately before or after a rain event unless the manufacturer's label says to. And when spraying, try to use spot spraying rather than broadcast application so that the chemicals land only on their target areas. If possible, define chemical-free buffer zones around surface water bodies. Do not spray anything within these buffer zones where the chemicals can easily be washed into the pond or lake. If some granular material does wind up on a paved path or parking lot, sweep or blow it back onto a vegetated area. The same goes for grass clippings that fall onto paved areas. And on the subject of mowing, mulch mowing reduces the need for fertilizers, pesticides, and watering, all of which help protect stormwater. If clippings from mulching or non-mulching mowers are collected, it's best to compost them. But whatever is done with the clippings, never dump them in a drainage ditch or other waterway where they can be carried away by runoff. Municipal employees that are out working around town on the streets, parks, and other municipal infrastructure must also keep a close storm watch. You have a great opportunity to watch for stormwater pollution from many different sources. Plastic piping or a hose running into a storm drain inlet means someone is directly discharging wastewater into the storm drain system. The EPA calls this an illicit discharge. Staining around storm drain inlets means that someone has dumped wastes or washed off some tools here. Any observable flow or vapors rising out of a storm drain or manhole during dry weather indicates an illicit discharge may be occurring upstream. Shop owners or commercial operators hosing down equipment in their parking lot or on the sidewalk probably don't know it, but they're hosing those contaminants right into the nearest stream. Open or leaking dumpsters allow food scraps, inks, detergents, cleaners, and other wastes out on the pavement where they can ride the next storm. Construction sites that place temporary dirt piles near the street allow soils and sediments to be carried into the storm drain. The same goes for any areas where soil is eroding, whether on a hiking trail or around a drainage ditch. Sediments from erosion can silt up a stream or river, destroying wildlife habitats and breeding areas. If in your storm watch you observe any possible illicit discharge or other threat to the quality of stormwater runoff, report these observations to your supervisor or stormwater specialist, who can take the proper steps to correct the problem. Municipal employees have a unique opportunity to protect the quality of stormwater runoff. At the same time, each employee has a personal responsibility to comply with the legal requirements placed on their municipality. Remember, Wash vehicles and equipment only in the designated wash areas. If you work in a shop or maintenance facility, implement the appropriate BMPs every day. Keep your outdoor work areas clean and orderly. Practice good housekeeping. If a spill or leak should occur, clean it up right away using only dry cleanup methods and the equipment in the nearest spill locker. No hosing down of spills. When doing street maintenance, collect any waste, scraps, or debris and make sure it is all properly disposed of. Keep supplies and materials indoors unless you're actually using them. If they must be outdoors, keep them protected from exposure. If you work as a landscaper or groundskeeper, take care when using pesticides and fertilizers. Apply them only as needed, and then strictly according to manufacturer's directions. And keep them on the target areas, not on paved areas, and never in or near surface waters. If you do your work around town, keep your eyes open for possible illicit discharges, like pipes or hoses running into storm drains, stains around drain inlets, shop owners washing off their equipment outdoors, or a pile of dirt next to a storm drain inlet. Promptly report any stormwater threats you see or suspect to your supervisor. If you keep watch for stormwater threats and carefully apply the appropriate BMPs in your everyday work, you'll be helping to protect your municipality and its citizens by keeping our waterways clean and healthy.
Alright guys, that was Stormwatch. Should have let you guys know beforehand. But the questions in your quiz were roughly based on that video. So if you need to, you can go back and rewatch the video if you missed any of the questions. But we will be going over some of those questions, or some of the content within that movie now. These are the best management practices that the video illustrated. We'll go over each of them individually now. But as we go through them, think about some of these questions and comments before, or as you go through it. Do you know where your spill kits are? And do you know what they contain? What activities you do on a daily basis that are most likely to result in spills? Winter salt handling and loading and spill cleanup. How do you guys handle that? Does your dumpster have a lid? Is your general housekeeping good enough? What can you do to improve it? What are the potential pollution problems with vehicle washing? And think about the impact trash floatables can have on storm sewers. All right. So make sure when you wash your vehicles and equipment that it occurs inside and away from storm sewers. Best option is to wash your vehicles at a commercial facility, but if it has to be done on site, make sure runoff goes into the sanitary sewer and is done on an impervious surface. When fueling a vehicle or equipment, stay with the vehicle or equipment to prevent overspills, and don't try to top off your tank. If you notice a vehicle or piece of equipment is leaking, move it inside immediately, or place a drip pan underneath it until you can move it inside. And perform all vehicle maintenance indoors. This could be one of the effects of a leak or a spill. This oil sheen spreads out quite quickly, and all of that will just get washed straight into the storm sewer system. And for good housekeeping, keep your work area neat and orderly, cleaning up spills and leaks promptly, and keeping scrap accumulation to a minimum. Keep containers sealed when not in use, and make sure they're properly labeled. Keeping a clean and orderly work site can greatly reduce the risk of spills and accidental discharges. If and when a spill occurs, use dry methods to absorb the spill and then sweep it up. Never hose down a spill. In the event of a large spill, contain the spill and call for assistance. Make sure you document and report the spill as necessary. All right. For street sweeping and catch basin cleaning, make sure that you dispose of the remnants, both water and debris, in a sanitary landfill or sanitary sewer. None of it should go down the storm drains. Make sure that your dumpsters are properly sealed and either have a lid or a tarp. Water can easily get into your dumpster, and if it's rusted out, it can easily leak dumpster juice all over the ground, and that goes straight into the storm drain. Salt storage is similar. Make sure it's covered and away from standing water or precipitation. Salt can easily dissolve and get washed out into storm drains as well. Landscaping and lawn care. For fertilizer use and pesticide use, the applicator should be trained and certified for use of the chemicals, and the chemicals should be applied only via the manufacturer's requirements. And keep your pesticide away from water bodies as labeled. Always be on the lookout for possible illicit discharges. As I stated earlier, the rainfall event, the yearly rainfall event monitoring should be done as to capture a grab sample and check it for these possible discharges, discolored and inappropriate pipe discharges, bad smelling discharges, and potential soil erosion to the storm sewer. And make sure you report any illicit discharges. Licking County has a fillable form on our website to report these discharges. Just some general recap here. Outdoor equipment operations. Make sure you catch your leaks if you notice them and repair it, and move it indoors if you can't repair it immediately. And make sure you repair it indoors as well. Outdoor material storage, liquid tanks, secondary containment is important. Make sure that when you're dewatering a secondary containment area that it's only rainwater and nothing's been contaminated. Waste handling, make sure your dumpster has a lid. And you recycle oils, antifreeze, solvents, batteries according to manufacturer's recommendations. And if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to contact Licking County Soil and Water. We are here to help you in any way we can. You can go to our website, or you can call the main line, ask for Kyle. Yeah, make sure you get your quizzes back by December 18th. And Thank you again for keeping your keeping Licking County's waterways clean.